welcome back. So let's see, in this first problem, this is starting with the 3x squared, so I know I'm going to need a 3x and an x. And I'm going to now switch over to the way I actually do this, which is not to write out all the possibilities, but just take them one at a time until I hit the right one. If I exhaust them all possibilities, and I haven't hit the one that works, then I'll say that my polynomial is prime, which means cannot be factored. And again, although I forget to mention it, I always look for a GCF to take out first, but there's not one. Okay, so one possibility to get a 4 is I could have a 4 and a 1. I'm going to just kind of randomly pick a minus and a plus, and then I'm going to check my middle terms. So let's see, if I were to FOIL this out, the inner terms would multiply to be 4x, the outer terms would multiply to be 3x, and that gives me the minus x I want. And so I just kind of got lucky there. That's the correct middle term. So it looks like this is my answer, so I'll put in equals to indicate that I am claiming that this is the factorization for that. But let's just take a minute to check it out. If I FOILed it out, 3x times x is 3x squared, 3x times 1 is 3x, negative 4 times x is minus 4x, and negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Front end and back end come out right, as they should, because that's how you set up your guesses. And the middle term, 3x's minus 4x's, is negative x. The middle term comes out correctly also. So that one checks out. Next, 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. I'm going to need a 2x and an x in order to get an x squared. Everything's positive, and I guess I forgot to mention it. I forgot to mention it in the last one, but the reason I picked a minus and a plus, in other words, the reason I picked different signs, is because that constant term was negative. This time the constant term is positive, so I'm going to pick these two to have the same sign, but since everything, including the coefficient on the x term, is positive, I know I'm not going to have any minuses in my factorization, so I'm going to make those both plus. And that, I don't know what this was. 15 and 1. Okay, so checking the middle term, if I FOIL, the inner terms will give me a 15x, the outer terms will give me a 2x. That adds up to 17x, which is not what I want. I'll get a different middle term if I switch the 1 and the 15. Let's see, middle terms now is 1x, outer terms is 30x. Those combine to give me 31x, not what I want, so I'll try something else. But again, I'm going to stick with 2x and x because that's the only way to get a 2x squared. So let's see, I guess I could have a 3 and a 5. So how about I try plus 3 plus 5. Now the middle terms are the inner terms are going to multiply to give me 3x, the outer terms 10x. Those combine to be 13x, not what I want, so I keep going. I think this is the last possibility, is to again have 2x and x, but this time with 5 and 3. Let's see, 5, the inner terms will give me 5x, the outer terms will give me 6x. Finally, those combine to give me 11x. So this is my answer. So I'm going to write equals 2x plus 5 times x plus 3. But I will also take the time to check my work by actually formally FOILing it out. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 3x is 6x. Plus 5x plus 15. So I get 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. Yep, that's what I wanted, so my answer checks out. Okay, and then the next one has a negative on the back end. So I know that I'm going to need to have a plus and a minus in my parentheses. So I'm going to start out with 2x and 2x. I like to start out with smaller numbers if possible. So let's see. And to get a 6, I could have a 3 and a 2, or I can have a 6 and a 1, or I could have, well, let's start there. Let's see what we get. So let's say I randomly pick negative and then positive. Okay, so I'll have, the inner terms will give me negative 6x plus 4x. That'll combine to give me negative 2x, which is not what I want. And I'm not going to check what I would get swapping the signs, plus and minus, because I know if I just swap the signs, I'd get a plus 2x. Right? So swapping the signs just changes the sign on the middle term, and I don't want any kind of 2x. I'm looking for a 5x. Okay, going on. Say instead of 3 and 2, I use 6 and 1. And again, I'm just going to randomly pick a minus and a plus. This time the inner terms will give me negative 12x. The outer terms will give me 13x. That's going to combine to be 1x, not what I want. And that also tells me that I don't want the same thing with a plus and a minus, because if I had a plus and a minus, it would just change the sign on the middle term. And I don't want any kind of 1x. I don't want any kind of 1x. I want 5x's. Okay, and that's all the possibilities with 2x and 2x. Notice if I switch the 3 and the 2, I've really got the same two factors, right? 2x and 2 I already had combined here. So I'm going to go on to 4x and 1x. Let's say I start with a 3 and a 2, and let's say I just randomly start with a minus and a plus. My inner terms now are going to give me negative 3x. My outer terms are going to give me 6x. That combines to be 3x. All right, I'm going too fast here. My outer terms are going to combine to give me 8x. So multiply to give me 8x. So these are going to combine to give me 5x, and that actually is exactly what I want. So it looks to me right now like my answer is going to be 4x minus 3 times x plus 2. But let's go ahead and check it. Okay, if I FOIL this out, 4x times x is 4x squared. Then I'll have plus 8x minus 3x minus 6. So 4x squared plus 5x minus 6. And yeah, that's what I want. So that checks out. Okay, and then one more for you. 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. No GCF to worry about, so I just jump right to making my educated guesses, my trials. To get a 2x squared, I need a 2x and an x. For a 3, there's only one way to get a 3. I mean, there's only one pair of factors that'll give me a 3 and a 1, or a 1 and a 3. They're going to have the same sign because my last term is positive, and I know that sign is not going to be positive because if I put positives here and here, everything's going to turn out to be positive, whereas I need a negative 5. So I'm going to either have those two or those two, and these are my only two possibilities for this one. So that's kind of nice. This is when trial and check is the nicest, is when there's not too many possibilities to check. All right, let's check these. My inner terms would give me a minus 3x. My outer terms would give me a negative 2x, and those combine to give me negative 5x, so that's the one I want. So I'm not even going to check this one. I know I've already got the one I want. 2x minus 3, x minus 1. Just checking this by foiling it out. I'd have 2x times x, that's 2x squared. 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. Then I'll have a minus 3x and a plus 3. So yeah, sure enough, 2x minus 5x plus 3. And I know it may seem a little silly, my insistence that I actually FOIL these out to check them, but you know, it's really easy when you're working to make some little mistake that you just don't notice. Maybe you do something funny here and you just don't notice it. This is really your safety margin to make sure that you don't walk off with an incorrect answer. Okay, I'll stop there, and I'm going to come back and do another few examples for you and show you something that's a nice shortcut. After I show you the shortcut, we're going to go back and look at some of these build your understanding problems and see that we ended up checking some stuff we didn't even need to bother with. So I'll see you in the next video.